Boys and girls, grab your notebooks and pencils and take your seat because it's time for Pool History with Mr. Olson.
All right, welcome back to another pool history session here with myself, Mr. Olson. And as we talked about in Lesson 1, pocket billiards and billiards in general can be traced back to at least the 1500s. But we didn't really talk about how it was brought to America. And it's been speculated that it was brought to America with the first colonists. And in fact, some of our early leaders were known pool enthusiasts, including George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. We know that there were pool tables installed in the White House right away from the get-go and at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello plantation. So the nation's leaders took part in the game from the early going in the United States. It rose to popularity really during the late 1800s, and it's said that the first ever slate pool table appeared in 1827, but it's recorded that it wasn't until 1865 that vulcanized rubber cushions were added to tables. So before that time, it's said that balls didn't really jump off the rails as much as they did post 1865, when they figured putting rubber cushions on would help them do so. Now, much credit to the development of billiards at this time is given to the man they dubbed the father of American pool, but consequently enough was born in Ireland, a man by the name of Michael Phalen. Michael Phalen was really the first billiard star ever in the United States, and he's very famous for a book he published entitled Billiards Without a Master. And that book talked a lot about the science, etiquette, and the game of billiards itself. Phalen was determined to produce an American billiard table that would become the standard for the whole world. So what he did was he visited Europe in the fall of 1851, and upon his return, he had the idea of starting a model billiard table factory. So he leaves the East Coast in the fall of 1854, travels to San Francisco, clear cut on the other side of the United States, where he opens an elegant billiard hall, which became one of the chief points of interest for the city of San Francisco. Phalen became obsessed with the game, and it was even to the point that he was pronounced unconquerable by any man. And then in 1854, as we talked about, he invented those new cushions that were known for its elastic and long-lasting qualities. Everybody knows about the diamonds that surround the table along the rails of pool tables. Well, guess whose idea it was to put diamonds on a table to aid in aiming? You guessed it, Michael Phalen. He also recognized that pool balls should maybe not be made of ivory. So in 1863, he offered a $10,000 reward, which is quite a chunk of change, for any researcher who could come up with a substitute for ivory billiard balls. The man to do that was a guy by the name of John Wesley Hyatt, who invented celluloid, which became a precursor to plastic. So there you have it, American billiards in the beginning, and we can owe a lot to a man by the name of Michael Phalen. And if you've never heard that name, I encourage you to look up Michael Phalen. And again, you can still get copies of his book, Billiards Without a Master, quite easily. In fact, it can be read on an Amazon Kindle or any of the electronic versions of ebooks that they have these days. You can just Google Billiards Without a Master and find it right away. So I encourage you to do so if you have any interest in the beginnings of pool. But there you have it. That's who's mostly responsible for the pool tables of today.